Welcome to the Leadership Spark podcast, where we equip you to be the great leader your people deserve. This is Corey, and today I want to talk about an equation that I got from a former Navy SEAL sniper whose name is Brandon Webb. He's an entrepreneur now. He started businesses, but he's a former Navy SEAL sniper who came up with this formula that I thought, when I saw it, this is very relevant for me as a leader and something that I wanted to share with you on the Leadership Spark podcast to help inspire you, but help you frame up and help you think through and get a proper perspective on failure. And so Brandon Webb is talking about, where does competency come from? Whether you are a Navy SEAL sniper, or you're starting your own business, or you're showing up today as a frontline worker, or you're just showing up for your family at home, wherever it is, how do you build competency? How do you frame up the process that we normally go through in order to build competency, whatever it is, that skill that we're trying to build, to become confident and competent in doing it? And his equation is this, is that failure plus rejection plus another rep equals competence. Now, we're going to break this down because that may seem a little bit odd, but failure plus reflection plus another rep equals competence. And this idea that whenever we fail, we need to reflect on the failure. We need to try again. And the more times we do that, the more competent we become at doing something. Because unfortunately, when we try to build a skill as a leader or in any aspect of our lives, most of the time, we're not competent the first time we do it. In fact, the first time we do a lot of things, it doesn't turn out the way that we would want it to. And so we have a choice. We can either quit whenever we are confronted with failure, or we can try again and continue to rep it until we become competent at doing it. And so he has these components. And so for him, the concept breaks down like this, is that failure, and this is more about how you view failure, but this is viewed not as an endpoint. So failure isn't the endpoint, but it's an essential part of the learning process. And that is critical, that if you can, and I can view failure not as an endpoint, but as a necessary step, an essential step in me learning and me developing a skill, then it really changes the way that we think about failure. And so when we hit failure, the next thing that we need to do is to reflect. And so instead of dwelling on the mistake or dwelling on the failure, reflection involves doing analysis. Reflection involves thinking about what went wrong, and then I'm going to use the insight from my reflection to inform or drive my future actions. And so I fail at doing something, I learn from it, and then I adapt and I pivot and use what I learned to help me do it again and do it differently the next time. And then it's about reps. And so it's just doing another rep and then another rep and then another rep. So a rep, what that means is we're going to be taking another attempt after the reflection on the failure. So we're going to do it again. And in this process of iteration, that builds flexibility and turns knowledge into a capability. And so we become competent at that point. And then at the end of the day, competency and being competent at something, according to Brandon Webb, is the result of failing, learning, and trying again, over and over again. That earns competence if you do it in a genuine way. And so I want to encourage you to think about that, because maybe you're out there and you're hitting a wall. Maybe you're out there and you're experiencing failure. Don't let failure be the end point. Let failure be an essential step in the process to learn. But you will only learn if you reflect on the failure, and then you take what you learned from the reflection, you put it into action in the next rep, and you keep doing that over and over until you build the competency that you want to build in the skills. So the go and do today is to don't let failure be your endpoint. Reflect on it, learn from it, do another rep, and keep being committed to doing that until that, whatever it is you're trying to do, becomes something that you are competent at doing.